Join me today as we tour the 2018 Winnebago Paseo. Today, we're going to tour the 2018 Winnebago Paseo. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing and you'll be notified as soon as a new tour comes available from my channel. Now, subscriber Nom Nom writes, according to Winnebago's website, the Paseo is more expensive, it has a stronger engine, and it appears to have a better chassis, the Ford Transit, versus the Chrysler ProMaster Travato. What are your thoughts regarding the Winnebago Paseo? Well, Nom Nom, I went out and I found myself a brand spanking new 2018 Winnebago Paseo, and I did a review just for you. So let's go take a look inside the 2018 Winnebago Paseo. And when I come back, I'm going to wrap it up and give you my thoughts on this very interesting van. Let's go tour the 2018 Winnebago Paseo. Welcome to my 360-degree video tour of a Winnebago Paseo. This is built on the Ford Transit platform, so it's got the Ecoboost engine, which a lot of buyers really like about the Ford Transit. It's got a lot of power and a lot of torque. And you can see back here in the cab, it's pretty nice looking. It's very automotive looking. And they don't have all the safety features of, say, a Sprinter, but it does have lane keep assist, which is really nice. So they've got lane keep assist. You've got a nice entryway here with a built-in screen door here. This is the one that's the accordion style. This little table here comes out. You can actually pull this out and you can flip around the passenger seat, and this becomes a workstation, which is really nice. You know, it's got a nice sized bath. If you can take a look in here, it's a pretty good sized bath for a Class B van, and it's all solid. Well, it's not one piece here, but it looks pretty good. It's got the flip down sink. I actually think these are really clever, the flip down sinks. I kind of like them. They get up out of the way when you don't need them. And it actually has a medicine cabinet, which is also nice. It's got a cool looking timbre door here when you close it. Okay. Now you might want to be aware that these things, they're really cool looking, but they do rattle when you're driving, so just be aware of that. Now, the Galley's really nice. It looks like this is a Corian countertop, which is very nice. And you've got your 2-burner stove right here. And you've got your marine style sink. Now keep in mind, on the marine style sink, this is the type where you pull it up like this. But this little on off switch here, sometimes I've heard from some owners that have an RV with this type sink, when you close this, it accidentally pushes the faucet on off switch down. And if your water pump's on, it turns on the faucet. So just be aware of that. Plenty of storage underneath, and I really like this. This flip-up counter is completely flush with the rest of the counter. That's really nice. And the mechanism for bringing it down, there's a little really nice handle you just pull and it goes down. There's a nice action to it, and it feels really nice. A convection microwave. That means in addition to microwaving, you can do browning, grilling, and baking in here. So you effectively have an electric oven. You have a Nova Cool. I believe this is a compressor refrigerator. So that's nice. Big, huge wardrobe closet. My goodness, that is enormous. They didn't skimp out on the components either. I'm noticing up here on the control center, this is a Truma Combi. That's a very nice combination ducted heating, which you have throughout the coach. There's a duct here and there's a duct below you down here. So ducted heating in a Class B van, that's usually reserved for much higher end coaches. So the Truma Combi has ducted heating, and it combines the water heating as well with the van. So that's a nice component. It also has solar, which is also very nice. So I don't know how many watts of solar are on this, probably one solar panel, but you can probably expand that as well. Now I really like this all-season RV. Yes, this is a 4-season RV. And so what that means is the freshwater tank, which is located, I believe, under this bench, as well as all the plumbing lines, are all internal to the coach. They're not exposed to the outside. And this coach as well has heated tanks. So this coach can be used all 4 seasons, including in the winter. And that is a great selling point about this RV. It's one of the few on the market that is all season. So I like this Paseo a lot. And one of the reasons why I like it is I like the layout. You get the pretty much the full open expanse here on the passenger side, which I'm really a proponent of. You have a little bit of section here that's closed off, but that's just because of the screen door, and it's not a big deal. But all the rest of it's really open. And in the lounge, they have an interesting configuration when you're where you're at, which is where you have 2 bench seats that are facing toward one another versus just having 1 bench seat along the back. Now what this does for you is it gives you a lot more seating. There are 2 additional seat belts on each side here. So you have 4 seat belts in the back, in addition to the 2 in the cab, which gives you 6 seats and 6 passengers that you can carry no problem in this. Also, where you're actually standing right now is where the table goes. And so the table can go right in between the 2 benches, and you can get easily, you could get 4, 5, or even 6 people around that table, which is really nice. And there's still all the open windows all the way around you. But I will say this to you. One thing that I like about this Paseo is that there is a step up here. And unlike the Travato, which has a very similar layout, this actually is quite comfortable to sit on. You don't feel like you're sitting up so high. It feels quite natural. So I think this is a nice design. It's a nice height. Now, the way that you sleep on this is if you look down, you can see there's the board that's placed down there. And so these side ottoman cushions just go in to fill that board. And then you have room for 2 people to sleep widthwise here. In addition, this side is a little bit longer, so one person could actually just use this as a twin and sleep lengthwise this way. This side's a little bit shorter, as you can see, so maybe a shorter person or a child could sleep lengthwise over here. Now the windows in the back here are kind of cool. They're not the awning style, which open out this way, but they are sliders. They have the screen system here as well, so you can pull down your bug screen here, or you can pull up for privacy this way. I think that's kind of ingenious, and that's kind of really cool. Or you can open it completely up this way. So that's nice. You got your Jensen, it looks like probably a 20-inch or so TV in the back here. Now this van is, the list price, as you can see behind you, it's backwards, but it's $89,000. That's the list price here at the dealer, and it says clearance at the bottom. I'm sure you could get it for far less than that. So it's a really good deal for this 4-season van by Winnebago. Now there are a couple things from a quality standpoint that you should be aware of. In order to keep the price point down, they do have some nice, this is metal here, some nice fit and finishes. I like the action, for instance, on these sliding doors. They're actually positive locking. So they're not going to fly open when you're going down the road. So they have some really nice things like that. Rope lighting, very nice. I actually like the vinyl flooring too. But I did pull out from below here, I pulled out the drawer because remember, I'd like you all to do that when you go looking at your vans. And I looked behind in here and you can see some of the wiring and things. And you can actually see the staples. So you can see where they've stapled some of the framing together on this. So we've talked about that before. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not the end of the world, but it is the way that some RV manufacturers keep their costs down as they use staples instead of screws. So I did see staples under here. And It looked pretty clean. The wiring harness, wiring and things like that, they were all encased in the plastic tubing, which is great. Now they were not attached, the plastic tubings, the guide tubings were not attached to the walls like you might see in some other vans. But again, that's not unexpected because that takes a lot of time to do. So the quality level's pretty good. I'm just pointing these things out so you're aware of what you're actually getting when you buy something like this. Look at this, positive latching drawers. You can look at more expensive vans than this and not find these positive latching drawers. So that's a really nice thing. And I like this hardware too. That's really nice. So quality components, nice look about it. I think this is a really special van. I think it being 4-season really puts it in a class by itself. Well, that concludes my review of the 2017 Winnebago Paseo. And I'm very impressed having come into this unit. I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing. It's a very nice feel. It's a very spacious, open feel to it with lots of windows. I love the fact that it's all season. That is really incredible. It's got some very nice quality components in it, Corian countertops. I'm seeing positive latching on all the doors and drawers. That's excellent. So thumbs up to Winnebago for designing such a nice RV for us. That concludes our tour of the 2018 Winnebago Paseo. What did you guys think? Did you like it? For my part, I'm a little bit conflicted about it. I mean, on the one hand, there are so many things to like about the Paseo. I mean, first thing is, take a look at that. I mean, it's a very striking looking van, isn't it? It looks really nice. It's got the chrome valance along both sides. It's got the nice extruded metal stair step. I don't even have that on my Ascent. I've got plastic. It's got the dually wheels in the back. It's got that massive 13-foot awning across the top. I think it's a very nice looking vehicle. And it comes with some standard features and some available options that aren't even available as options on my much more expensive Ascent. Things like the water filter standard for the sink, ducted heating in the cab and in the bathroom. That's incredible. Having a roof rack, a bike rack, a ladder that you can move around. Boy, how many times have I wished that I had a ladder on my Ascent so I could get up to the roof and I can clean the solar panels. It has convenience center lighting. Now what is that? That's where all your hookups are on the outside, on that side of the van, on the driver's side of the van. It actually has LED lighting out there over that area, so when you pull in late at night into your camping spot, you just hit a button out there and it lights up that area so you can see what you're connecting and disconnecting. I don't have that on my Ascent. It's got a black tank flush. Oh boy, is that nice. I wish that my Ascent had that. That's where you can hook up the hose to it, and when you empty up the black tank, you just turn the water on and it sprays out the inside of your black tank and keeps it all nice and clean. And finally, it's just got huge tanks. It's got a 29-gallon freshwater tank, a 21-gallon gray water tank, and an 18-gallon black water tank. And your holding tanks are all heated because remember, the coach is all season. That means that you can take the Paseo out in the winter, when it's cold, when it's below zero, and you never have to worry about it. You can enjoy that van all 4 seasons. That's going to open up a lot of new possibilities for you. It means that you don't need to necessarily put your van in storage in the winter if you live in a cold climate. That's a huge selling point, really, really big. And it's one of the few Class B RVs out there that offer the interior plumbing and that make that van 4-season capable. And I think that that's the biggest selling point of the Paseo. So this Paseo offers a whole lot in a very handsome package and at a price point that's really hard to beat. But there are some strangenesses and things that are some real head scratchers about the Paseo that I can't figure out. So for instance, I don't know why they made the interior height is 6 foot 6 inches. That's a full 3 inches taller than my van, which is 6 foot 3 inches. But the bed in the back is smaller than my bed. Now remember, in the Paseo, you have to sleep laterally, widthwise in the van. You can't sleep lengthwise. So it's only 6 foot long this way. And yet The van is ideally set up for a taller person, at least interior height-wise, being 6'6". If you could have just made the bed a little bit bigger and also made the cab seating accommodate a taller person, boy, I think you would have a brand new market with that van for taller people, because a lot of times taller people have a hard time in Class B vans. So I think it was a missed opportunity on their part to not have designed the interior a little bit differently on the Paseo to accommodate a taller person. They really could have captured a part of the Class B market that no one's going after. The other thing that's a head scratcher for me is the engine. It's got the really nice, beefy, much bigger than this engine, gas Ford Ecoboost engine. So it has a lot of horsepower. It actually has less towing capacity than my little 4-cylinder Ascent. My 4-cylinder Ascent can tow up to 5,000 pounds, whereas the Paseo, built on the Ford Transit and the Ecoboost engine, can tow just a little over 2,000 pounds. So that's a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Yeah, you've got a beefier engine, it's going to have more torque, it's going to have more horsepower, but at the same time it's also going to get a lot worse mileage than this van, something like 16 to 17 maybe average miles per gallon, compared to around 20 to 24 miles per gallon in this van. And yet you can't tow any more behind it. So if you have maybe a little bit of a larger boat, or you're trying to pull maybe a couple motorcycles or something behind it, you're going to actually do a better job in this van with a 4-cylinder engine than you're going to do with the Winnebago Paseo and its larger engine. There's just some strangenesses about the way that they designed the Paseo that don't sit right with me. One of the things is that pump in the shower, that you have to turn that bilge pump on in order to pump. There's a smaller holding tank in the shower to pump it out into the main gray water tank. It just seems a little kludgy to me to have a pump like that. I don't think that you should have to think about that. If it were designed correctly, then the water would just drain out from the shower like it does in your home, and you wouldn't have to think about it. So that's a little bit of a strange thing for me. The screen door, if you remember, on the Paseo, it had that odd little bit right behind the passenger seat. There was just a little bit, about maybe 6 to 8 inches wide, where the screen door stopped and then continued again. And then they had to like put a little opening thing, like a little way to open that so that you could open it and then reach out for when the screen is shut to open the main sliding door on the van. And in order to kind of cover all of that up, they put the little tray table thing that comes out for the passenger. And that's nice. I like the idea of the tray table, but as a designer, it just came off to me as a bit of a kludge. Like they put the tray table in to cover up the fact that they misdesigned the screen door. This screen door, if you look at it, there's nothing like that. It just comes straight down, all the way down. There's no little section of it that is separated from the main screen door that you have to deal with or think about in order to open and close the sliding door. So that's just a weird design thing. And there's other things like in the kitchen. Again, behind the sink, they had that little tiny glass display cabinet, which looked kind of cool from a marketing perspective. They put some wine glasses and things in there. But I looked at it as a designer and said, you're just covering up a bad design decision. For me, again, I think that's related to the screen door, I believe. I believe the screen door goes behind there, and there has to be a frame and mounting for that screen door. And so they just covered it all over so you don't see all of that. And then once they covered it all over, they noticed in the galley that they had a big kind of blank, ugly area. So they turned it into this really shallow shelf with some glass panels, and they turned it into a display area. But for me, it's strange, and it just points out just a bit of weirdness in terms of how they have the design decisions that they've chosen inside the Paseo. Now, these aren't deal breakers. I mean, none of these things are deal breakers. They're not going to stop you from purchasing the Paseo and having a great time in the Paseo, but they are things that just pop out to me. And when I see stuff like that, it makes me wonder about other design decisions they may have made behind the scenes about things that I'm not even aware of. Now, the real deal breaker for me on the Paseo is the fact that it doesn't have an inverter. I can't believe in this day and age that really any RV manufacturer does not ship their vans with an inverter. So an inverter, remember, allows you to run things like your AC outlets off your batteries. So you don't have to be plugged into shore power and you don't have to be running the generator. Now the Paseo has outlets on the outside, it has outlets on the inside, but they're virtually of no use to you unless you're stationary at a campground and plugged into shore power, or you're just willing to run your generator all the time so that you can use those outlets. And to me, that's not very useful. Like right now I have lots of things plugged in charging. I just used my hot pot. I'm going to be using my microwave soon. All of that running off the battery in the inverter. So the fact that the Paseo doesn't have an inverter, for me, that would be a deal breaker. Now for some of you, that would not be a deal breaker because maybe it's just not important for you to have AC power available all the time for you inside of the van. But that's something that you really need to think about. And if you notice and you go on to YouTube and you go online, no one talks about that. No one selling the van talks about that. No one doing a review of the van talks about that. And I think that that's unfortunate. So I'm here to point it out to you because for some of you, that would be a big deal if you bought that van only to find out that you can't use your AC outlets. So that to me is a deal breaker. For some of you, it may not be a deal breaker. My final recommendation is this. I could only recommend the Paseo if you're someone who really wants and needs to have an all-season van, a four-season van, a van that you can use in the winter. If that's you, you have very limited choices on the market right now, and the Paseo is one of those choices. So if that's you, go take a look at the Paseo. It's a great van. All that whole list of things that I talked about, of all the standard features and the optional features you can get, plus the price point, make it a great van. And it's especially a great van if you're looking for an all-season van. If you're not looking for a four-season RV and you like the Paseo, I would recommend that you look at the Travato, either the 59K or the 59G. You're going to get most of all the same features or available options that are on the Paseo. It's not going to be four-season capable, although it's almost ready. All the plumbing's on the inside and the tanks, and it has the tank warmers. It's just not certified four-season ready. But you're going to get most of the same things. You're going to get it in a smaller footprint. It's going to be about a foot shorter in length, which is going to make parking in standard parking spaces that much easier. And you're probably going to pick it up for a little bit less. So that would be my recommendation to you. If you enjoyed this week's episode, I really would appreciate a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, it's easy. Just hit the little subscribe button over there and click the bell. That way you'll be notified when cool reviews like this come out in the future. We'll see you again next week with a brand new episode. Take care. Bye-bye.